I think we should by heart this chapter 6. Yato yato nischarati manaschanchalamasthiram tatastato niyamyaitat atmanyeva vasham nayet. For whatever reason, the unsteady mind, always in a state of flux, goes away, bringing it back from that with reference to the self alone. May one bring the mind into one's own hands. Pramantamanasam yoginam uttamam upayati shantajasam brahmabhutamakalmasham. Indeed, the most exalted happiness reaches this meditator whose mind is tranquil, whose impurities have all resolved, whose life is free from all defects, who has become Brahman through knowledge. So this person gets the Uttama Sukha. Yunjannaivam sadatmanam yogi vigatakalmashah sukhena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukhamashnute. The meditator, free from the conflicts born of adharma, always connecting the mind in this manner, easily gains absolute happiness born of contact with recognition of Brahman. I will just read few paragraphs before we go to the new verse. We had seen yesterday that the vision of Shastra is Tattvamasi, and that is the Satya. You are the only Satya that is in the creation. There is nothing else. Everything else being Anatma, dependent upon the Atma alone. You are the only one who is self-existent, Swatah Siddha, and everything else is dependent upon the self-evident being that you are. Therefore, you are always totally accepted by the Shastra at the beginning and at the end also. In the beginning, Shastra says moksha, liberation, is yourself. Moksha being in the form of knowledge of Atma alone. The very starting point then is that you are already free, even though you do not know it. Therefore, the subject matter of the Shastra is something that is already established, Siddha Vishaya, and gaining this knowledge is a gain of something that is already gained, Praptasya Praptiha, not the gain of something not yet gained, Natu Apraptasya Praptiha. To begin this way is very pleasant indeed, and the journey itself is also pleasant. Other kinds of, I hope it is clear, since our Shastra already says that you are already free. But as I think Prem Bhaiya had said that story, no, that donkey, the one who was taking him in the washerman and the donkey, that he forgot the rope one day, and then he was every day he was, so he asked the sage that I forgot the rope, how do I tie him? So the sage said that you just act as if you are tying. So we all are tied like that, mithya rope only. We are already free as per our Shastra. Other kinds of sukha require effort and may not always be pleasant. Even going to heaven requires a lot of effort according to the Shastra. You have to spend a lot of time performing certain rituals properly, for which a lot of tears have to be shed, literally, since you have to sit before a fire to perform the rituals. Suppose after having shed all these tears, you go to heaven, you gain heaven sukha. How long will you enjoy this sukha? Heaven sukha is also comparative sukha, heaven being just another place in which you cannot stay forever. There comes a time when you have to leave. Therefore, sukha that one gains in heaven is anitya sukha, non-eternal sukha that requires a lot of effort to gain. All desires are for Atma alone. But here, there is no effort. It is all sukha. This may seem a little silly or overly simplistic, but that is how it is. When you do a right about turn, your entire logic also reverses. Generally, all our desires are for anatma, not for atma. Even heaven, swarga, is anatma, not oneself, not I. Whenever you say, I'm going to reach somewhere or gain something, the object to be gained or reached is anatma, like heaven, money, or anything that you want. All the anatmas are for Atma alone. This also, please remember this statement. All the anatmas are for Atma alone. To gain sukha is for Atma, for my happiness, for my welfare, for my experience of something. I want this or that. I want to go here or there. All of which are anatma for the sake of Atma. Thus, there is always this connection between Atma and Anatma, and as long as the connection is a desirable one, there is some kind of sukha, but it is always anitya, non-eternal. I repeat this sentence again. Please remember, there is always this connection between Atma and Anatma. And as long as the connection is a desirable one, there is some kind of sukha, but it is always anitya, non-eternal. It is this anatma ichcha, desire for anatma, that you give up, and in its place you choose atma ichcha. Anatma Ichcha and Atma Ichcha are opposites and are therefore two different things. Atma Ichcha is the right about turn, wherein you have a desire for the very Atma itself. Being a right about turn, the logic that was applicable to Anatma Ichcha is not applicable at all to Atma Ichcha. Atma being accomplished already. Atma is. You are not going to create a new Atma. Atma is eternally present. Now, are you going to polish the Atma? It is not that. Kshamyatam, Atma is eternally present, nor are you going to polish the Atma. It is not that Atma is covered and needs to be cleaned up so that its original color will shine through. Atma is never colored. It is always self-shining, Nitya Prasiddha. Because it is eternally present, it is never covered by anything. The only covering possible if the word is to be used at all, is ignorance. And ignorance is not something that is scrapped off. Ignorance just goes in the wake of knowledge, which is why Krishna says that without effort, the meditator gains the sukha, that is his or her very nature. So as yesterday Brahmaraji had rightly said, in a very dark room, you don't need to take bucket and take out the buckets of darkness. You just need to light a small lamp and the darkness will vanish. In the same way, it is just the veil of ignorance which is there, which is keeping us away from the truth. A sukha that is born out of contact with anatma is anitya, non-eternal, whereas the sukha born out of the knowledge of Brahman is nitya, eternal. Atma contacting Brahman means yourself contacting Brahman in terms of recognizing Brahman. Thus, samsparsha is used here only to point out that this is not like any other sparsha, meaning contact, the context here being that the recognition that Atma is Brahman takes place, because of which one gains Nitya Sukha without any effort. So it is just the recognition that I am that. In this verse, it is said that the jiva recognizes and gains the sukha. And in the previous verse, it was said that the sukha reaches the jiva. Krishna explains it in this way, because the jiva is sukha swarupa. There is no kartra karma difference, because there is no karta and no karma. There is only atma. Nor is there any reaching. There is only the dropping of ignorance and error, which is why it can be explained either as sukha reaching the person or the person reaching sukha. Ananda approaching the yogi and the yogi gaining ananda are one and the same. So this was the extract of what we had discussed previously. Anyone would like to share anything? There is only one track, Jnana. In all of this, one must be very clear that yoga is not something independent of knowledge. There is no yoga track by which you come to gain this sukha, nor is there a karma track, bhakti track, or any other track, each track leading to the goal. There is only the track of jnana. Here in this chapter, yoga is dhyana, the track of jnana, consists of knowledge alone. To pursue knowledge, you can follow all kinds of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Karma yoga, etc. These disciplines will definitely be useful because you have to become a Vigata Kalmasha. Therefore, you have to live a life of dharma, which implies a certain attitude called Karma yoga. This attitude includes bhakti, prayer, devotion, etc., all of which are useful for gaining jnana. So beautifully, Swamiji. Yesterday, day before yesterday, Nanaji also said, right, that it is only the knowledge. Bhagavad Gita is Brahma Jnana. In this pursuit, one uses whatever is required, but the track is one and the same. There is no other track. Since this is how it is, what else can you do? Atma is Brahman, and the problem is one of ignorance. Thus, the only track open to us is knowledge. The knowledge of the oneness of Brahman is the end result of the practice of contemplation. Therefore, let there be no confusion about there being any other track. The yoga discussed in the Gita has its results in Jnana alone. It begins with Jnana and ends with Jnana. Before contemplation, Nididhyasana, there is Shravana, listening to the vision of the Shastra that says Atma and Brahman are one. Therefore, Nididhyasana is to make this vision clear of any obstacle. Like yesterday, Brahmaraji had so beautifully gifted us with that Brahma Jnanavali. After the Shravana, it was like a beautiful Nididhyasana. Throughout the day, we were in that lovely, wonderful mood. Asango ham asang. Anyone would like to share before we go to the new verse? I think somebody is unmuted. If it is by mistake, kindly mute yourself. For
Bella, I've muted all. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Dhanyavad. Further, Krishna says, Sarvabhutasthamatmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. Such a beautiful verse. Yoga Yuktatma, one whose mind is resolved by this contemplation. Sarvatra, everywhere. Samadarshanaha, one who has the vision of sameness. Atmanam, the self. Sarva Bhutastham, abiding in all beings. Sarva Bhutani, all beings. Cha, and Atmani, in the self. Ikshate, sees. Yoga Yuktatma, Sarvatra Samadarshanaha, Atmanam, Sarva Bhutastham, Sarva Bhutani, Cha, Atmani, Ikshate. One whose mind is resolved by this contemplation, who has the vision of sameness everywhere, sees the self abiding in all beings and all beings in the self. So Paramatma is in and through everything around us. Jad, Chetan, it is all Brahmamaya. I will just repeat the meaning again. One whose mind is resolved by this contemplation, who has the vision of sameness everywhere, sees the self abiding in all beings and all beings in the self. Here, Krishna says that the yogi, the meditator, sees the self Atmanam ikshate, meaning that he or she knows the self. And what self does this person see? Everyone knows oneself as a person having a history, a biography, which is identical with the physical body and the experiences one has had. This body is connected to some other bodies, and therefore there is a brother, sister, son, daughter, or someone else. Generally, then, this self that is known is connected to a given physical body as a person who abides in that body. So we have these attributes, and through attributes, physical body, mind, and intellect complex, we try to differentiate all the Atma with like Anatmas, and we try to see them as differently. Whereas the yogi being discussed in this verse recognizes himself or herself as the self that abides in all beings. Sarva bhutastham, sarva bhutastham atmanam pashyati. Sarva bhutastham
I think it is Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam Pashyati.
Kshamyatam. Sarva bhutastham atmanam pashyati. And it is not just that all the beings have their being in himself or herself alone. Sarva bhutani cha atmani. Thus, Atma runs through everything, and at the same time, everything is in Atma. And who is it that sees this? Yoga Yukta Atma, one whose mind is resolved by contemplation, who has achieved success in this contemplation. This is a very beautiful paragraph. I'll just read once again. Whereas the yogi being discussed, so I will just refer the previous paragraph, what we here Krishna says that the yogi, the meditator, sees the self, Atmanam ikshate. Atmanam ikshate, meaning that he or she knows the self. And what self does this person see? Everyone knows oneself as a person having a history, a biography, which is identical with the physical body and the experiences one has had. This body is connected to some other bodies, and therefore there is a brother, sister, son, daughter, or someone else. Generally, then, this self that is known is connected to a given physical body as a person who abides in that body. Whereas the yogi being discussed in this verse recognizes himself or herself as the self that abides in all beings. Sarva bhutastham, sarva bhutastham atmanam pashyati. Sarva bhutastham atmanam pashyati. And it is not just that all the beings have their being in himself or herself alone. Sarva bhutani cha atmani. Thus, Atma runs through everything, and at the same time, everything is in Atma. And who is it that sees this? Yoga Yukta Atma, one whose mind is resolved by contemplation, who has achieved success in this contemplation. The sameness that is in everything. Such a person is also Sarvatra Samadarshanaha, one who sees the sameness, Sama, that is Atma, in everything. In other words, there is an appreciation, a vision of that which is always the same in all beings. In all beings.
Hi, Bella. This is what the other day, what is his name? This man and Vijay Ji was saying, Sarvatra Samadarshana.
Yes, correct.
Samadarshana. So
yeah.
That's what it was. Okay. That's nice.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding. That's wonderful.
No, yeah, like I've been missing a lot. That day I was listening to Nana's session also, I missed it. It's nice to come back, but then I've been like, I'm kind of staying with my daughter, take care of things with her for this week. After hopefully next week, I'll be able to attend every day. Hope.
Don't worry, whenever you are here, just try to be here. That's so nice. You
Yeah.
are doing your karma yoga.
Yeah, we are all doing our yoga somewhat. Yeah,
Yes.
that's nice. Okay. Good.
Okay, the sameness that is in everything. Such a person is also sarvatra samadarshanaha, one who sees the sameness, sama, that is atma, in everything. In other words, there is an appreciation, a vision of that which is always the same in all beings. In all beings, in everything, there is something without any special attribute, nirvishesha, and there is something peculiar to each vishesha. We see this nirvishesha and vishesha in different types of golden ornaments, chains, bangles, rings, and so on. In all of them, there is one thing that is nirvishesha, gold, while the particular form such as chain, etc. is vishesha. So beautifully Swamiji has explained that when we see the variety of gold ornaments, but in all of them, the nirvishesha is gold. Although gold is also an attribute, this example illustrates the point being made here. With reference to all these chains, bangles, and rings, there is something common in all of them, something nirvishesha, something that is the truth, satya of all of them, gold. There are many visheshas, all the various names and forms, nama rupa, the attributes, chain, bangle, ring, etc. have their existence in the Satya gold. Similarly, all Nama Rupas have their basis, their truth, their existence, Satya in Atma, that is Brahman. And that Atma, Brahman, I am. The one who knows the Nirvishesha, that is free from attributes, the Satya in everything, Sarvatra, that which lends its existence to all names and forms, is called Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. Wherever the person looks, he or she sees Brahman. So I will just read the last paragraph again. It is such a beautifully Swamiji has defined. Similarly, all Nama Rupas have their basis, their truth, their existence, Satya in Atma, that is Brahman, and that Atma, Brahman, I am. The one who knows the Nirvishesha, that is free from attributes, the Satya in everything, Sarvatra, that which lends its existence to all names and forms, is called Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. Whenever the person looks, wherever the person looks, he or she sees Brahman. So, Samadarshanaha, the one who sees Kevala Satya Nirvishesha, which is free from all the attributes, Nama Rupa Para. Anyone would like to share? Contemplation is the appreciation of what is being said here. There is no real looking implied here. What is meant is that for this person, there is no ignorance about the self. The vision of the person is that The self is in all beings and all beings are in the self. This vision, the vision of Vedanta, described in its entirety in this verse and the next two verses, is what is referred to as the knowledge. So we started with that jnana. So here Vedanta is talking about this jnana. In fact, these three verses lend themselves to contemplation because contemplation is primarily the appreciation of what is being said here. The meaning of the word I is not exactly as we understand it to be. It is not this physical body, mind, sense complex. When you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses, you become someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex. For this, you require no special knowledge. In fact, it is very common for people to take themselves in this way. And not only do you take yourself to be someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex, you also take the body, mind, and senses to be yours, which is why you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses. Similarly, when you say, I am fat, the body itself becomes the I. When you say, I am restless, the mind becomes the I. And when you say, I am tired, the prana becomes the I. This makes it possible for us to have two situations here. Either the physical body itself is Atma or Atma abides in the body. Both are being negated here. This Atma that you talk about is the Atma that abides in all beings. Sarva Bhutastha, not just in one Bhuta, in one body. This is such a beautiful, for Janmas, we are so much used to this I. So I will repeat this once again. Contemplation is the appreciation of what is being said here. There is no real looking implied here. What is meant is that for this person, there is no ignorance about the self. The vision of the person is that the self is in all beings and all beings are in the self. This vision, the vision of Vedanta, described in its entirety in this verse and the next two verses, is what is referred to as the knowledge. In fact, these three verses lend themselves to contemplation because contemplation is primarily the appreciation of what is being said here. The meaning of the word I is not exactly as we understand it to be. It is not this physical body, mind, sense complex. When you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses, you become someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex. For this, you require no special knowledge. In fact, it is very common for people to take themselves in this way. And not only do you take yourself to be someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex, you also take the body, mind, and senses to be yours, which is why you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses. Similarly, when you say, I am fat, the body itself becomes the I. When you say, I am restless, the mind becomes the I. And when you say, I am tired, the prana becomes the I. This makes it possible for us to have two situations here. Either the physical body itself is Atma or Atma abides in the body. Both are being negated here. This Atma that you talk about is the Atma that abides in all beings. Sarva Bhuta Bhutastha, not just in one Bhuta, in one body. Please remember the word Sarva Bhutastha. So Paramatma is in every being, and every being is complete, Purna. So we just have to remember this also when we say I am fat, I am restless, I am tired. It is, and you are making it different situations.
You are not tired, your body is tired.
Yes. The physical body is tired.
It is
When you
all an
say,
aspect of identification with the body, whichever the upadhis, the different upadhis, the different levels of existence. So as long as we identify ourselves with the body, the mind, the intellect, breath, even prana. So even prana is an upadhi for the Atma, right? So that's
yes.
but I didn't quite understand why Swamiji was bringing in the two aspects. One is the body identifying with the Atma, that is the body is the Atma, and the other one was Atma in the body, Atma residing in the body. Both are negated. He's talking of Sarva Bhutastam Atma, which is the Atma that is there in every, which includes your body including. So I was just
Yes.
wondering why he is negated even that Atma abiding in the self. Can you just read that paragraph one more time, Bella?
But Atma
Yeah.
is not residing in the body in terms of that, right? I mean, it's there in your, what do you call that place? Some place they say it's in mind, some place they say in your body somewhere. But it's supposed to be everywhere.
Like it's according to this verse that's it's everywhere. So and the Samdarshana also, no, that it abides in all the beings. That's why, according to this verse, he has negated.
Yeah, where I read like this Chaitanyam is like one whole consciousness, right? I mean, it's just a space. So we are all in it, inside that consciousness, and it, of course, um, it is in every living being and also non-living being also. That's where it said somewhat the living beings, they said it's like superior and then the other one was the inferior. That I didn't understand what that was like. But somewhere in the later chapters we read, we feel that as a fragrance, like in the wind, like that is what we perceive this atma, like in the flower it's a beauty or the fragrance.
We say no vyaptam yena characharam. So we cannot limit it to the one body or
Mm-hmm.
any one particular thing. It's vyaptam yena characharam. The full, like a canopy, it is everywhere. So both ways it is limitation. When the jiva thinks limited this upadhis, same way, even the Brahman we are limiting it to the. So I think it is both ways. that limitations of feelings of limitations.
Ramaraji, you want me to read from the Nama Rupa also here? Or you want the sameness that is in everything? From there I'll read.
Yeah, you can read from there. Yeah.
The sameness that is in everything. Such a person is also Sarvatra Samadarshana, one who sees the sameness. Sama, that is Atma, in everything. In other words, there is an appreciation, a vision of that which is always the same in all beings. In all beings, in everything, there is something without any special attribute, nirvishesha, and there is something peculiar to each vishesha. We see this nirvishesha and vishesha in different types of golden ornaments, chains, bangles, rings, and so on. In all of them, there is one thing that is nirvishesha, gold, while the particular form such as chain, etc. is vishesha. Although gold is also an attribute, this example illustrates the point being made here. With reference to all these chains, bangles, and rings, there is something common in all of them, something nirvishesha, something that is the truth, satya of all of them, gold. There are many visheshas, all the various names and forms, nama, rupa. The attributes, chain, bangle, ring, etc., have their existence in the Satya, gold. Similarly, all Nama, Rupas have their basis, their truth, their existence, Satya in Atma, that is Brahman, and that Atma, Brahman, I am. The one who knows the Nirvishesha, that is free from attributes, the Satya in everything, Sarvatra, that which lends its existence to all names and forms, is called Sarvatra Samadarshana. Sarvatra Samadarshana. Wherever the person looks, he or she sees Brahman. Contemplation is the appreciation of what is being said here. There is no real looking implied here. What is meant is that for this person, there is no ignorance about the self. The vision of the person is that the self is in all beings and all beings are in the self. This vision, the vision of Vedanta, described in its entirety in this verse and the next two verses, is what is referred to as the knowledge. In fact, these three verses lend themselves to contemplation because contemplation is primarily the appreciation of what is being said here.
Can you repeat the last, sorry, can you repeat the last two sentences? What is meant by knowledge? That is that sentence and...
Yeah, the vision of, there is no real looking implied here. What is meant is that for this person, there is no ignorance about the self. The vision of the person is that the self is in all beings and all beings are in the self. This vision, the vision of Vedanta, described in its entirety in this verse and the next two verses, is what is referred to as the knowledge. In fact, these three verses lend themselves to contemplation because contemplation is primarily the appreciation of what is being said here.
if I just want to pause here. I remember, I think Dr. Mara had asked, when we keep talking of jnana, what is knowledge? What is this knowledge? Sometime back, long back. So that is what is being expounded here. What is
Yeah.
meant by knowledge is that having this vision of seeing the Atma in everything. Sarvatra Samadarshana. That is the knowledge. And that is what is to be contemplated upon.
Yeah. It's
Right?
realizing self in yourself, then you seeing the same self in
Everywhere.
all. Yeah.
Mhm. When we speak of Spandakarika, the seeing the general vibration in everything, in all of the so-called special vibrations. Special vibrations are nothing but the nama and rupa. But in and through is the general vibration that's running through. Like how gold is there in all the different ornaments. And how the water content, that is the ocean, is there in every wave that arises.
Those two examples are really great. Like where the waves come and go and the water is still there, right?
Mm.
And the same way the gold.
Mm. So we get caught up in the nama rupa all the time and see ourselves as separate from, number one, our own, see ourselves separate from the Atma, see ourselves separate from everybody else. We have that dosha darshana. We have that, not, I don't know whether it's called dosha darshana, but we have that separateness, non-sama darshana.
That's true. Yeah.
And we have these filters of judgment. We get the raga and dvesha and all the kalmashas that come in. That is why karma yoga is important, to remove all that impurities, all the kalmashas, all the raga dveshas, so that then you get this true vision of the samadarshana. Then knowledge can happen. So the knowledge that we're talking about, everywhere we say jnana, jnana tevatu kaivalyam. It is only through knowledge that you get kaivalya, that you get moksha. Is this samadarshana, is the vision. It is not looking at, it's so beautiful that is mentioned there.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is,
I remember until that we were reading at one stretch that we were doing up to the 18th chapter, right? I mean, after that, I had this break. But then I can see myself I was in this Arjuna's position, whether to do, I wasn't able to do it, whether I should do this or I should do that. That question always comes to your mind, um, then you have to let go of one thing versus, you couldn't do the Gita, okay, fine, I'll do it, but maybe when I get time, I listen to this. So that kind of like the jnana versus the karma, then at least I said, okay, I just focus on the karma with the wholeheartedly and not dwell on this part. That's how we had to go about doing things. It felt like that, I was in the same situation for last few months.
I think that Vyavharik Satya and Paramarthik Satya, we need to have that
I couldn't hear
also.
you. Can you make it speak up a little bit louder?
Vyavharik Satya and Paramarthik Satya. So you were following Vyavharik Satya for a period of time. But that underlying current of Paramarthik Satya was there for sure, Mara. Don't worry. Underlying current of Paramarthik Satya was there with you throughout. That's why
It
you were
was,
feeling.
I was able to think about it all the time, and it's so hard to miss hearing your voices, like I feel like I'm missing a lot all this time, but then, try to as much as possible whenever I get time to read one chapter or something like that. Um, anyway, I had to get back, but it's nice to be back and listening to all of you. It's nice. I really like the Nanaji's session after the year. That's really nice.
I think the takeaway for us would be that we cannot not live in the world outside, which is the Vyavaharika Satya. Just like how Krishna has one foot on the floor, firmly on the floor, and the other foot, only the toes are touching the floor. We rooted in this aspect of Samadarshana, rooted in the aspect of Atma, the understanding of Atma Jnana. We just have to live lightly in the world and do our work. That is what is, Krishna has always goaded Arjuna, do your duty. He said, you cannot run away from the battlefield. You have to stand and fight. Do your dharma, your swadharma. So we cannot escape that. We cannot escape our roles, different roles that we play in the world, as a mother, as a father, as a daughter, as an employee, employer. Whatever roles we have to play, we play them, and we play them well to the best of our ability. That is karma yoga. Taking everything, whatever we do as jnana, as a yajna. So that is like Krishna putting just his toes on the floor. While rooted in this understanding that the self is in all beings. We are all in that karma yogi state right now. So just wanted to share this.
Amazing,
Because
amazing.
there can be a conflict. Now, Atma is in everything. So I think that is why where Gurudev was asked once, someone asked, so even Swamiji had mentioned, if everything is the same, everyone is the same, why shouldn't I not take my neighbor's money or my neighbor's wealth? You could kind of twist this knowledge and then justify your actions. So there, that vichakshana should be there. Like a bangle is a bangle. You wear a bangle on your around your wrist. You cannot wear a bangle on your toes, for instance, or around your ankle. So every ornament has its role to play. Understanding that role, at the same time, at the back of our mind, understanding that they all have the same substance, gold. Each of them has a value of its own. Each of them has a role to play. And I suppose that role, that swadharma, that is our purpose in life. If we are able to understand that and then live in this life with this aspect of samadarshana.
I think with this attitude, when we do our karma yajna, karma, then we won't get caught up too much into the raga, dvesh, and all shadripus, no? Anger, lust, obsession, greed, attachment, entanglements. And even if it comes up, we need to show sometimes the anger or some these things come, but just it is like a drawing a line in the water, kind of. How much time that line will remain in the um, puddle of the water? So we remain most of the time untouched. It won't go much deeper, and we won't accumulate karma then. So it is really karma yogi going towards in that direction. Jai Gurudev.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. The meaning of the word I is not exactly as we understand it to be. It is not this physical body, mind, sense complex. When you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses, you become someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex. For this, you require no special knowledge. In fact, it is very common for people to take themselves in this way. And not only do you take yourself to be someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex, you also take the body, mind, and senses to be yours, which is why you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses. Similarly, when you say, I am fat, the body itself becomes the I. When you say, I am restless, the mind becomes the I. And when you say, I am tired, the prana becomes the I. This makes it possible for us to have two situations here. Either the physical body itself is Atma or Atma abides in the body. Both are being negated here. This Atma that you talk about is the Atma that abides in all beings. Sarva Bhutastha, not just in one Bhuta, in one body. How can I recognize Atma when it is never an object?
One good thing, when we say this I part, I believe that when we say Sarva Bhutastha, we cannot use I. That's where this comes up, right? Like I am fat, that I part is related to not one person. That's probably what it's mentioning here, I think.
Yeah, it is the Advaita Bhav. There is only one, the one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The big I,
So
if you can call it.
you're not separating it by
Correct.
Yeah.
You're not separating as my I, the small I and the big I.
Right. This
What
is
is
the big
there is
I.
just the big I. There is only one I.
Right. There's
That-
one big I. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I request for this paragraph to be read again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Atman? Yeah.
The body mind sense complex.
Yeah. Contemplation is the appreciation of what is being said here. There is no real looking implied here. What is meant is that for this person, there is no ignorance about the self. The vision of the person is that the self is in all beings and all beings are in the self. This vision, the vision of Vedanta, described in its entirety in this verse and the next two verses, is what is referred to as the knowledge. In fact, these three verses lend themselves to contemplation because contemplation is primarily the appreciation of what is being said here. The meaning of the word I is not exactly as we understand it to be. It is not this physical body mind sense complex. When you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses, you become someone who abides in the body mind sense complex. For this, you require no special knowledge. In fact, it is very common for people to take themselves in this way. And not only do you take yourself to be someone who abides in the body mind sense complex, you also take the body, mind, and senses to be yours, which is why you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses. Similarly,
Sorry, Bela, 1 second. Can you repeat that sentence one more time?
Yeah. And not only do you take yourself to be someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex, you also take the body, mind, and senses to be yours, which is why you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses. Similarly, when you say, I am fat, the body itself becomes the I. When you say, I am restless, the mind becomes the I. And when you say, I am tired, the prana becomes the I. This makes it possible for us to have two situations here. Either the physical body itself is Atma, or Atma abides in the body. Both are being negated here. This Atma that you talk about is the Atma that abides in all beings, Sarva Bhutastha, not just in one Bhuta, in one body.
Here this is beautiful, It's just that basically the mind body, when you got to negate it, right? I mean, that's not you. This is where that we say, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the indriyas. So when you say that, then it doesn't really make sense saying my body, my mind, my senses. And that's understanding that I have. But then also, Sarva Buddhasta, we talked about it already. That Atma abides in all beings, the same Atma. So that is the Sarva Buddhasta. So you're not going to say that's I part.
Bela, can you go to page number 365, the previous page? That one sentence, yeah. Go down towards the last of that page, the last line, little more. Yeah, that sentence. The meaning of the word I is not exactly as we understand it to be. It is not this physical body, mind, sense complex. When you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses, you become someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex.
Yeah,
for this, you require no special knowledge. In fact, it is very common for people to take themselves in this way. And not only do you take yourself to be someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex, you also take the body, mind, senses to be yours. See, what we understand from our knowledge of Atma Bodh and Tattva Bodh is that the body, mind, sense complex is not part of us. But the sentence that Swamiji's mentioned, just go back to the previous page, Bela, is that you are the one who is abiding. I mean, I think that is the catch over here. When you say,
you're abiding in the
you're
body.
abiding in the body, mind, sense complex. You are the one who's abiding in it. Where is that?
That 366. You have to go to 366. Yeah.
No, it is the last verse, last sentence of 365.
And then the following sentence. You have to go down, scroll down. Yeah.
So when you say, it is not this physical body, mind, sense complex. When you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses, you become someone who abides in the body, mind, sense complex. I think that is something, if we can explain that. Persiji, will you be able to elaborate on that?
May I just read the shloka once again and Then we
Yeah.
can have the Manana
Okay, done.
session.
Done.
I will just read the beautiful verse once again, and then we will close our eyes and then we will open for Manana. Is that okay? सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि ईक्षते योगयुक्तात्मा सर्वत्र समदर्शनः. One whose mind is resolved by this contemplation, who has the vision of sameness everywhere, sees the self abiding in all beings and all beings in the self. We'll just close our eyes for a few seconds and then we will have our Manana. Jai Guru. If you want to read anything again, kindly let me know. Nirvishesha and Vishesha. I think this example will make it very clear. What I understood is like there are so many gold ornaments, bangles and rings and everything, but out of them there is one kutastha which remains untouched. So why Swamiji is negating both the situation is in all these situations, there is one thing which remains unshaken, that is that kutastha. So that's why he has negated both. That is my understanding. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Here this example came in my mind. Now all of us, we are connected with each other through some instrument, either mobile or laptop or tab. So we are so much in alignment with this instrument that sometimes we forget that this is the separate instrument. Same way, one step we go a little bit deeper. Same thing like we are using this eyes and our ears so much this moment that we our being has become one with our ears and our throat, our voice box and our ears, that we forget that these are the instruments through which I am connecting to this knowledge and to all of you. So one step, when we go more deeper and deeper, we can understand that all these are the part of the Prakriti, and that is Bhinna. I am not any of these Ashtadha Prakriti. I am the just witness of everything. So as the water, it is poured into different pots, it takes that shape, but water is not any of the shapes. Same way, I think how this instrument of laptop, we become so much involved into it. Same way, go one step behind it, then ears and eyes, and then one step go behind it. Like that, we can really touch that kutastha Samadarshi Atma Tattva. Jai Gurudev.
What caught me why I went back to reading that paragraph was that Swamiji is saying this makes it possible for us to have two situations here. Either the physical body itself is Atma or Atma abides in the body. Both are being negated here. That somehow triggered something in me. That's why I asked for it too. I couldn't fathom it to the extent necessary. Both are being negated here. And then, like I just recollected what Gurudev said, that when you say this mobile is mine, so you say this body is mine, then you are not the body. All that came up for me. I was just trying to, when my eyes were closed, that we identify with the body-mind complex, but we are actually pure Chetna, Atma. Just wanted to understand this, both are being negated here a little better. The sentences hit me like I am fat, the body itself becomes I. When you say I'm restless, the mind becomes I. And when you say I'm tired, the prana becomes I. The 7 levels of our existence that we talk about, I was just correlating with all that. Only when you go beyond the ego I state that you come to the Chetna state.
So that's basically what you said, right? You go beyond all that and then you recognize the self. That's recognizing the self, the same self that you're looking. I mean, when you recognize that the same self in all beings, that is where the sarvatra, what was that word? Sarvatras Buddhatma, Buddhastma, right?
Sarva Bhutastha,
Oh,
not
Sarva
just
Buddha.
in one with one Bhuta and one body. Yeah. Sarva
Okay.
Bhutastha.
The Atma, Sarva Buddhasta Atma. So that, yeah, first recognizing yourself and then when you recognize yourself, then you see that same thing in everywhere, in all beings. The same thing that even when Nana is saying about Jnani, what he sees himself and he sees other outside also. That's what we have to figure it out, to see everything, everybody equal. When we say equal kind of thing, now we have to say that we are all the same in that regard. We may be different in names and rupas and our career and other job and things like that, but that's the external part of it. So when you see the internal part of it, that is all the same, the whole universe.
So what I understand when you say, Bela, if you're there, can you just go down that the page to 365, the last paragraph 365? Yeah. When it says,
You want me to still scroll further, Brahmaraji?
no, go down the last few sentences in that page. The meaning of the word I, yeah, that is where I just wanted to. There is no. Yeah, I'll just read this one more time. Contemplation is the appreciation of what is being said here. There is no real looking implied here. What is meant is that for this person, there is no ignorance about the self. The vision of the person is that the self is in all beings and all beings are in the self. This vision, the vision of Vedanta described in its entirety in this verse and the next two verses, is what is referred to as the knowledge. In fact, these three verses lend themselves to contemplation because contemplation is primarily the appreciation of what is being said here. Now, the meaning of the word I is not exactly as we understand it to be. It is not this physical body, mind, sense complex. When you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses, you become one who abides in the body, mind, sense complex. For this, you require no special knowledge. In fact, it is very common for people to take themselves in this way. And not only do you take yourself to be someone who abides in this body, mind, sense complex, you also take the body, mind, and senses to be yours, which is why you say, this is my body, my mind, my senses. I think we're able to understand this one paragraph. And then similarly, when you say, I am fat, the body itself becomes the I. There you're identifying with you're getting one with the identification with the different other 6 levels of existence. But that when you consider yourself to be the one abiding in the body, and when you say, I am, when you say, this is my body, my mind, you become one who abides in the body, mind, sense complex. It's like you're creating a limitation for that I. You're limiting it only to your body, mind, sense complex.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's
the
basically
I,
identification with your, like you're attaching yourself with that body image, right? I mean, the Indriyas, and so you're not really, then we are still in the ignorance, not
yeah,
really
you are
above that.
still in the Dvaita Bhav there. So
Right.
what is meant by the actual I, the meaning of the I, the self here, is not the self that that just abides in this body. This self is there in every body, everything out there. So from the small I am in this body, you're expanding to include the whole universe, which is where you get that Samadarshana. I think that is at the seat of contemplation, that is what we have to do. That is why Swamiji says we negate both the things, that I am this body, this mind, senses, or the body, mind, senses are me, and that I am abiding in this body. So what he's goading us to do is to unleash that binding that we are. It is like, I don't know whether this is an appropriate example. It is, we have to crack open that the shell and come out of the shell. We are thinking, I am this chicken that is there in the egg. Whereas once you crack open that and you see everything is one, or rather not the chicken, the hen, it is, or the egg, but the wave. It is a wave identifying itself, saying, I am this wave. I am abiding in this. And the water in the wave is saying, I am the water in the wave. Whereas what the Samadarshana is, that there is only water everywhere.
True. Yeah. The wave can disappear, right? I mean, it goes, it comes and
Yeah,
goes. But that where water is there, even when the waves are not there. So, in that case, like whatever our differences are, it above that, everybody's, or underneath that, we're all the same. So that The wave could be it could be different. But this, like it said, I remember this particular verse I did. You remember when we did the one sloka that we were talking about in the class. So I think I did this one. Yes, there's I forgot what that was. That's nice. Like Swamiji says, like next two slokas are for contemplation. Is that where the Chinta some? It's a nice sloka. I remember that one. Uh, it's really good. So how long are you having this class now? I mean, I know I lost track of this timing and all
Yeah, we
this.
close in
And
about 6 minutes, Dr. Mara.
oh,
Till
okay, okay. No, I'm just wanting to
6:30.
know, like, is it from 7 to 8:30 our time in
Yeah,
US
it is
time?
1.5 hours. Yeah.
1.5 hours. And then, like usually, how does it go? Like in terms of reading the
1 hour we
chapter?
read, and the other half hour we do Manana.
Okay, got it.
The last half hour. So I think when we continue to read further, the next few shlokas also, it will get a little more clear. I think what all of us understand is that our identification with the body, mind, and maybe prana, senses, all of that is what we understand. We understand that that I is separate from those. They're all upadhis. But Swamiji is introduced, Bhagwan has introduced this other concept that the I abiding in the body, even that has to be negated. That I is there in everything. It is not just in your body.
Yeah, that's very neat. So when
Correct,
you say
correct, Ramaraji. Repeat that, no,
what,
what you said just now. That
Huh?
is to be contemplated throughout the day. Just repeat what you said just now.
Yeah, see, we all understand that the I is separate from the body, mind, senses. They're all upadhis. They're all instruments. We can see our mind, we can see our body, we can, so that we know that I is separate from that. But that we understand that this I that is residing in the body is limited to my body. That is what we have to break through, and then see that the I is there in everybody, not just in my body.
So beautiful, na, for expansion.
Mm.
Wow.
That is why that
so,
I belong to you, that sentence is such a beautiful sentence. Gurudev has given us the highest knowledge in the first part itself. That I belong to you gives that
That
connect where the Samadarshana can take place.
unconditional love we
Mm.
experience.
so Ubadi means what is that one? I forgot
Upadhi,
what
yeah, Upadhi is like a um,
reason or
no, not a reason. It is like, how do I exactly put it in English? Upadhi
How
is
you are, see how you are
the attribute.
MBBS, that is your upadhi, that is your attribute, right?
yeah, okay, correct.
anything that is external, anything that is outside of the actual essence. For instance, if the one that I understand what Charna had mentioned was, you have a spatika linga, you have a crystal linga, for instance, and if you're not able to see that in the sanctum sanctorum, so the pujari, what he does, he shows a green leaf or a flower, red flower, he puts it in front of that, and then that crystal as though takes the light of the green, takes the color of the green leaf or the red flower.
Okay.
So the crystal is crystal. Crystal is colorless. It is spotless. It's colorless. It's clear. But the superimposition, upadhi, correct term is the superimposition. So this color of the leaf is superimposed upon the crystal, or the color of the red flower is superimposed upon the crystal, and it appears as though it is red in color. Similarly, the body, mind, sense complex, all of that, the karya, karana, sanghata, all of that is just a superimposition on ourself, on the Atma.
This is the Raju Sarpa context.
Yeah, the rope.
The light that it's a rope. Otherwise, you're mistaken.
Correct.
That's basically the knowledge. The light is the knowledge.
I think whole day if we just keep in the background in our minds that Spatika Linga and green leaf or the red flower, that will help us to go into that witness consciousness more and more, I think. Jai Gurudev.
Hari Om, I have just extrapolated maybe. We all are that gold ornament in different forms. But why Swamiji is negating that also, both situations? I believe that he wants us to remind that Kutastha, which remains the same. So we are, in and through the gold is there, but we are molded on that Kutastha, and we are that. Maybe when we will read further, I think that will become more clear.
Yeah, you're right, Bela. It is like the bangle thinking that the gold is in it, not knowing that the gold is there in every other ornament. The bangle thinks I am gold. I am, I'm a bangle is identifying with the body, but I am gold. The Atma is abiding in me. Gold is there in me. Is that limitation? So that is what we have to break free and say, the bangle, seeing the substance gold that it is made of, is the substance everywhere in all the other ornaments as well.
My thought process just now is that Swamiji, it is my thinking like this, is going even beyond that. All the gold ornaments are of gold. We have studied some time back that matter is not matter, it is energy vibrating at different frequencies. So whether it is gold ornaments, it is a table in front of you, it is a laptop in front of you, whatever it is, it's all one.
Correct.
Anatma, the matter which we call, is not actually matter itself. It is all energy vibrating at different frequencies. So we were up to a certain level thinking that the ornaments are all of gold. So everything is gold. So we were, but I think here Swamiji is stretching out a little more when he's saying, I negate this also. That belongingness is bringing into everything, like even the laptop, everything is one out of this one cosmic energy, so universal energy. So everything is one.
Even the rock.
Yes.
Brahmastambha ahameva iti nishchay, something of that sort, no? In Ashtavakra Gita. Brahmastambha ahameva iti nishchayi. For sure, know that from stone to Brahman consciousness, everything is only you and you and you.
Very nice, very beautiful. I think we will, Dr. Renu says something. Can we say that we are part of the consciousness present everywhere? We are not part, Dr. Renu, we are the consciousness present everywhere. The only thing that is the consciousness. That is the knowledge. Yeah. Yeah, really beautiful verses. I think we'll continue tomorrow. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu.